So, if you didn't grow up in a household where it was normal to be elegant and classy, is it something that you can change, or are you doomed to be the same person for the rest of your life? Now, this is something that I think about a lot because I didn't grow up in a household that was particularly fancy. It was a single parent, lower income family situation. So I didn't grow up with a lot of things that I would consider elegant and classy around me. There is this mindset that you can just change your life immediately just by changing your thought patterns. And while I don't necessarily think it's as simple as that, because mindset is only part of it, and you have to back it up with action, you have to have the situation and the circumstances to be able to get to where you want to go to. But there is something to be said about you need to know where you're going and think about it first, because there is no action if there's no thought process behind it first. So I started to think, what would an elegant woman's mindset be? Does she think differently about herself, about the world? And if that is the case, how do you get that mindset? Mostly, I just wanted to know, can you change your mindset and become more elegant that way? Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to Messy Classy. Today, let's discuss, can you change your mindset to become more elegant? So grab a drink, fire up the jazz, and let's get into the topic. So I definitely think you do need to think differently. You can't just go online and see what somebody else is saying. You actually have to think critically about this. But this is the case for most things. When we look inwardly and we're looking at our own values, our own behaviors, we need to understand what it is that we think is elegant first before we can cultivate it into our own life. Because very often some people just think elegance as clothing, some people think it's how you act. There are a number of different ways that you can be elegant. But I do think you need to change your mindset because mindset always comes first in anything and then action follows. There is that saying, I think, therefore I am. I do, however, think this is way too simplistic because just thinking about something is never enough. You need to put action into practice afterwards. So, firstly, you need to think about what elegance means to you. And I was thinking about, well, what does elegance mean to me? And while what I wear and what I surround myself is part of it, I think all of that is just costume. Most of it comes down to how you act as a person and how you act towards others. But taking that time to really think about how you're responding to people, how you're acting in the world is one of the first steps because often we walk through life blindly, not really thinking about how we impact the world and other people around us. Sometimes we don't even see things until they're pointed out to us. So it starts with noticing other people first, of course, but then you can start noticing yourself and how you react in certain situations. This might even help you identify some of your triggers. And you'll also catch yourself when you start overthinking, replaying conversations in your head. Another one that I'm very guilty of. Because when you start to do that, which can be exhausting, by the way, oftentimes you're just replaying the conversation in your head and it's not solving anything. So, next time a situation like this happens, how would an elegant woman respond? Or how would she act in this situation? Anyone can put on clothing or a costume, but do they really become that character? Or are they just play acting the role that they're in right now based on what they're wearing? Because elegance doesn't end when you take off that gorgeous dress. So, what does an elegant woman think about on an everyday basis? Now, obviously, we can't be in somebody else's head, so we don't know for sure because what does anybody think about really? We are only ever in our own heads and not anybody else's. We really, truly only have our own perspective on life. However, through somebody's actions and how they present themselves, we might have an idea. But what I think an elegant woman thinks about is how to bring beauty into her life. And not only with superficial items like clothes and jewelry and makeup, but with her relationships with other people, with the environment that she's in, but more importantly, the world she wants to live in. As an example, we can look at Audrey Hepburn, who is considered one of the most elegant women, and through her activism and humanitarian work, tried to make the world a more beautiful, joyful place. It's not always about just the way you act as a single person, but how you act with other people and in the world at large. Now, I can't talk about elegance without not mentioning money. We can't change ourselves and we can't change the world without money, and that's unfortunate. But we live in a capitalist society, and so we have to work with the rules that we are in. I'm a big proponent in making your own money, so increasing your financial education and becoming more financially literate is one of the most important things you can do, not only for yourself, but for your capacity to help others. And helping others, whether it's just your family or your friends, or you want to go out into your community, is one of the biggest keys to becoming elegant, because you can't be elegant if you're self centered and are only focused on yourself. There is an essence to elegance of being humble and being curious about others, being curious about the world. And that's why elegance is so rare in this me centered world. And while looking after yourself is important, because we start beauty with ourselves and then goes outwards, but it's not always just how you look, it is how you act, it's how you react to situations. It's not having that victim mentality. Now, I'm not one to say that you are responsible for everything that happens in your life, because that's not true. Bad things happen to good people. People get sick, tragedies happen. You can't control where you've grown up, who your family is. You can't control what country you were born into. The only thing you can do is choose how you react to certain situations. So, therefore, it has to start with yourself, because you are the only person that you can change. You can't change somebody else before you actually look inward first. You can influence somebody by the way you act and the way you treat them, but you can't change somebody else's behavior. And this is why elegant women don't define themselves by the relationships that they're in. You can be in a relationship, but that doesn't become your identity. So I guess if we want to sum up what an elegant woman mindset is, she doesn't rush. She thinks about things carefully, and she thinks about how she's going to react to certain situations. She doesn't over explain herself to try and get her point across, because she's curious about what the other person thinks. She values a calm, beautiful life over a chaotic, messy life, which can be hard sometimes when you're a messy, classy girl. But she does understand that there's power in restraint, in holding back and not being chaotic herself, even if everything else is chaotic. Stop over explaining, stop over scheduling, and start bringing that focus inwards, thinking about how you can bring more beauty and joy into your own life and into the lives of others. Have a look at how you manage your time and attention each day, and does that align with the person that you want to become? Now, yes, what you wear and what you surround yourself is part of it, but beauty is not only subjective, because we all have different taste, but it's also in your behavior. It's also in how you view the world. It's also in how you treat others. So for messy, classy girls, I think this comes down to, we have to let life be imperfect sometimes. And if we don't act chaotically, we can try and limit the amount of chaos in our lives. It's more about choosing grace, especially when dealing with other people who are very rigid in their ways. So how do you think an elegant woman's mindset is different from anybody else's? I'd love to know. In the meantime, stay messy, classy, darlings.